Hi everyone, Katarina from Bloom and Passion here. Thank you so much for watching my video today. Today's card was inspired by some stunning canvas art I saw here on YouTube, created by Wendy Devereaux. She used acrylic paint to add color to her canvases, and on the two different halves of the canvases she used two different colors or color combinations. Now I decided to leave the top half of my cards white, and I used Distress Oxide ink to add the color onto the bottom bit, and also then I used just white acrylic paint to add some lovely texture to those cards. Now, you saw me at the start of this video, I showed you a few different color combinations. It's because I will be creating this card at different stages. I have some prepared at the different stages of the drying process. These cards are quite easy to make, but the drying time can take up a few hours or even 12 hours or a day, depending on what mediums you're using and how heavily you apply that. I will be giving you a few different options, so please stay with me and let me show you how I made this absolutely stunning card. So I decided to work with a standard 5 by 7 inches card base. The front panel that I will be working on will measure 4.5 by 6.5 inches, and I used heavyweight 300 GSM cardstock on this because it will take quite a lot of mediums and paints on it. So I didn't want it to start tearing or soaking through, and I doubled it up. So this is two pieces of 300 GSM 4.5 by 6.5 inches card, and I glued them together using my color glue that makes it nice and strong, almost chipboard like when it dries. Now here what I'm doing, I'm measuring down halfway through the longer side of the card at 3.25 inches, adding just two little dots. This is because I'm going to split my colors halfway through the card. You may want to do this up towards the top of the card or towards the bottom, is really your personal preference. Using the little dots as guidelines, I added a piece of scrap paper just so I don't drag the color onto the top bit of the card, and just in a motion from top to bottom, creating those straight lines, I'm using Distress Oxide ink, and for this card I chose Ripe Persimmon. In this next step, I'm adding white acrylic paint to this. Now the brushes I'm using are just simple brushes from my children's stash. It really is nothing special. I'm just showing you the texture this will create. Dragging again from top to bottom. I really wasn't paying attention to what way I was doing this. Honestly, it doesn't have to be perfect. Add thicker, thinner lines. The only thing I was paying attention to is so that I'm dragging those lines kind of straight, just like the Distress Oxide ink pad did. So I'm kind of following the lines that it already shows me. Now when this dries, it will not be as white as it shows now, except the thicker lines that I'm adding now, applying the paint in a much thicker manner in here, and I'm going to just keep repeating this until I'm happy with it. And don't worry if you add too much, because once this dries, we can always come back with more color. Now you can see I'm doing the white side of the card. I'm just applying a base of thin coating of here and there, not everywhere, didn't cover the whole thing, and just adding those thicker lines again. Once you're happy with how it looks, just set it aside to dry. Depending on how much paint you use, it can take a little while. I have a version in here that is already dry, and this is the cracked pistachio color on the bottom half of the card. Now I'm going to come back with a little bit of that ink pad, and see that darkness of the white where there's too much white. I'm just going to apply a little bit with just a soft makeup brush. That's all it is. I'm going to take a little bit of that ink and just apply it back. This is why I say that don't worry if you add too much paint at the start, because you can always come back to fix that. And now I kind of medley it in with the background. You know, this is going to be a lighter shade, in the background there's a darker shade of that same ink pad. I think it just looks absolutely beautiful. It adds a really lovely, interesting texture to it. And now my favorite bit, the main feature on the card, the middle blingy. I'm using glossy accents on this card, but please stay tuned because I will be using quite a different medium just in a minute on a different version of this card. So I'm adding quite a thick line all across the middle line in there, and from there I'm going to drag it up and down in both directions, longer and shorter lines, almost like an icicle kind of look, I guess. I'm just adding all different lines in there, and don't worry if it's not perfect, because you can see it much better how much glue you added once the glitter is applied to this, and you can always come back and add more glitter. It's always best to have less and then you can come back and fix it, rather than having too much and then you kind of messed it up because you added blobs of glue where you didn't intend to. For the glitter, I decided to go with Chloe's Creative Cards Sparkalicious range. The silver gilt, I think, is just stunning, stunning glitter. My favorite, I think. Now, you're going to see me go back with some glossy accents, add some longer lines here and there where I felt it needed some, and just tip some more glitter over it. This is how easily fixed it is. Now, my personal preference for this technique is mixed glitter, chunky and finer bits all in the same pot, and this is exactly what it is. But go what you like, what you have in your stash. I'd say fine glitter would look lovely too. Now, I'm showing you that I added some crystal bits and rhinestones in all different sizes, and this is what I'm going to do now. So first I'm applying these scattered crystals. I got these in Home Bargains on the wedding craft section a long time ago, but I'm sure they still have them. These are diamond-shaped little crystals in all different sizes in that same bag. However, for this project, I'm only going with the smallest ones. The big ones were just sticking out too much and I decided not to use them. Now you can see them much better on this close-up in here. And you see that one in the corner there? I added the crystal on top of that ink, and it soaked up some of that peacock feathers color that I used in there. So to avoid that, on this one, I'm only applying the glue on top of the glitter, not directly over that ink. This way it won't soak up the color. The next thing I'm using is this bling box from Chloe's Creative Cards, and this is the Festive Fancies. And for this card, I'm using the green rhinestones from here in two different sizes, the small one and the medium one. So I'm just adding a few of those here and there, and I can always fix it up. I can add some more glue if I need to, just like that. And this is quite easy to work with, honestly. You can do this while the glue underneath the glitter is still drying, or if it is already dry and you need to fix it up, you can still add more things to it. Now this little bling box with the tiny rhinestones, I've had it for years and years in my stash now, and I'm just taking some of the silver and some of the green little rhinestones, and I'm just again applying them here and there and everywhere all across that middle section for now. And this is the middle section ready. How gorgeous that is. I love it. Now, you can stop here, add your sentiment to it, attach it to a card base, and your card is ready to go. I promise you, it is gorgeous as it is. However, I decided to decorate it further. You can see the snowflakes and the rhinestones falling on top, on the bottom. So this is what I'm going to do with my card. So now there's the one that I prepared earlier and I'm going to work on now. I just want to quickly show you the difference. The one that we just made together, I didn't use a whole lot of glossy accents. I used it quite sparingly compared to the one that is in here already dry anyway. It's exactly the same look, only a lot more dimensional from a side view. Now it really is up to you. What do you prefer? You can use more or less to create the look that you desire. This is the broken china distress oxiding, and I'm just going back just to break up the stark whiteness of that paint on the bottom part of the card. So this is the first time I have this card in my hand since it's drying, so I'm just tapping any excess glitter off, and anything that stays on the card, it's there to stay for good. Glossy accents dries real nice and sturdy. This silver mirror cardstock measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and I'm just going to adhere this onto the back by peeling back some of the corners of the double-sided tape already on that base. And yeah, this is something that I forgot to mention earlier on. If you're going to make this, before you start applying the paint and the glitter and all that, add the double-sided tape to the back of the card. Trust me, it's just so much easier than having to add it when all the dimension is already in there. This card base measures 10 by 7 inches, and on the 10-inch side I scored down in the middle at 5 inches. I'm peeling back that bit of the tape in the middle as well, adding some Collall construction glue, and just adhere it to the card base. Now, earlier on I said that I will show you a different example using a different medium. Instead of glossy accents on this one, I used texture paste. And even at that, nothing expensive, nothing crazy or special, it's just my own homemade texture paste. I mixed this up using PVA glue and baby powder and added some white acrylic glue. Now, I made this years ago and I store it in this plastic container and it's still nice and soft, and I add just more as I need to it. An equal amount of PVA glue with baby powder is a good way to start, but if you want to make it thicker, you just add more powder. If you want it more thin, just add more glue to it. And it will create that exact same look as the glossy accents. You will never know because the glitter covers up the whiteness of the texture paste in there. So, and again, because it's texture paste, you can apply a thicker amount or a thinner amount, depending on how dimensional you want your card to be. To further decorate the card, I decided to use some snowflakes using this snowflake punch. You can use any dies you may have. If you have something small like this, just go for it. I didn't have anything small. All my snowflakes dies are quite large, but even stamping snowflakes would look lovely. Now I'm using a clear sparkle wow embossing powder and adding a bit of a color onto the white section to them. Now I heat embossed a full piece of paper and then I went and cut out the snowflakes from it, or punched out. I found it just much easier than individually having to ink and heat emboss the snowflakes separately. So I'm adding a few white ones just with the clear embossing powder on them, the clear sparkle wow embossing powder on them. I'm adding them to the bottom, and onto the top I want to add a bit of a color to them. So to do that, I'm just taking again that brush, the cheap makeup brush I had earlier with a bit of an ink on it, and I'm just brushing it very lightly over the snowflakes. This is all I'm doing, and I'm just going to add, I think, 3 or 4 onto the top section in there. So using that same tiny bling box I used earlier, I'm taking out some of the light blue and some of the silver rhinestones, and I'm placing them here and there on the card. On the bottom part, I'm focusing more on the silver ones. On the top bit, I mix them up, both blue and the silver. I also like to add a little bit more shine to this, so you will see me here using that exact same pot of glitter I used in the middle, and I'm taking out some of the chunkiest bits of it and I'm going to glue them here and there. See that lovely shine? Almost like a mirror-like shine on it. I just love it. Now obviously this is optional. Some people like more glitter, some people like less, so go with what you prefer. I love glitter, especially at Christmas time, so I'm just probably over decorating it a bit too, but this is how I like my cards. So all is left is just to add a little sentiment to our cards. I decided to print mine. It says, snowflakes are falling, and then on the inside of the card I printed Christmas is calling. I was going to mount it up on against a piece of silver cardstock, but it was too much, so I just decided to go straight onto the card with the white strip of cardstock. Now there I'm missing a little piece of an embellishment, so I just added a rhinestone, and this is Christmas is calling. And I printed this out color coordinating to every single one of the cards there is, so blue for the blue one, pink for the pink, and so on. And that completes the card. So here are the 5 absolutely beautiful completed cards. To recap on the colors, it's ripe persimmon, kitsch flamingo, broken china, cracked pistachio, and peacock feathers is the original one. Now on the orange one, the ripe persimmon one, I also used my texture paste. And I used gold embellishments, gold rhinestones on it, because I didn't have any orangey color ones. But here's the 5 different cards, some of them made with glossy accents and some of them made with texture paste, and you really cannot tell the difference. I really hope you liked this tutorial, and if you did, please consider subscribing to my channel, like this video, and comment which color combination is your favorite. Hit the notification bell so you will get notified anytime I upload a new video. Every single one of these interactions helps me grow my channel, and I'm so very grateful for every single one of you. So thank you for watching my tutorial, and I hope to see you the next time. Bye!